let's talk a bit about the product design for DeFi. So Airfoil had helped to design the online and in-person payment experience for Solana Pay.
Yep.
When designing the Solana Pay, who are the main target users?
I'll address that in kind of a series of parts. So the first thing is that we sort of have to understand that crypto is in its early adopter phase, right? It is difficult to engage with. In the US, I think we've made it a little bit easier. Coinbase has some amazing products to help people get started that are coming from, I don't know, Robinhood or an investment app. But in Canada, for example, the Wealth Simple sign-up process is hard. It takes a long time. It takes multiple days to do ID verification. So if you really want to begin getting involved in crypto, it is not easy to do.
Right.
At the end of that funnel, right, you have a small group of very highly motivated users. And the problem with that is it can warp what founders expect in terms of, will their user experience work with a particular user base? I remember, I've actually had variations of the conversation with a lot of DeFi founders. We'll talk to them and we'll say, okay, your app doesn't have an onboarding flow. So the first thing we want to do is we want to bring in an onboarding flow. And they'll say, an onboarding flow? We have a connect wallet button in the corner. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, it's not fine though, because when a user shows up on your app, the app doesn't work. So Apple actually has a term for this in their interface guidelines for iOS apps, which is when you open the app, it must work. It must do the thing. You cannot lock it behind like a paywall. You can't do anything like that. But that's an important principle. When you open an app, it should work. When I open a lending protocol app and I click lend and it just doesn't do anything because I haven't connected my wallet yet, it doesn't work. It appears broken. So for people that interact with a lot of protocols, like me, maybe that's not an issue, right? Like I use Curve, and like Curve's interface is incredibly difficult to use, but I'm using Curve, I'm using FTX, FTX has a million UI and UX problems, but it's fine because as early adopters, we know to deal with that.
Yeah.
But that massively limits your reach. And onboarding flows are not just because in Web 2 you need multiple logins and in Web 3 you can use a common wallet. Onboarding flows exist to inform the user what they should expect so that they don't have problems that cause them to drop the app and get them excited. We're supposed to make them excited.
Yeah.
Glow Wallet in the Solana ecosystem on iOS does an amazing job of this. When you open Glow Wallet for the first time, you see this 3D wallet that's like falling through space, and it tells you it's creating your private keys, it's backing them into iCloud, it's creating everything. But it's like awesome.
Yeah.
And you get excited and you say like, whoa, what's about to happen? And then the onboarding flow from there is very, very smooth.
Yeah.
That's so necessary.
Yeah.
And to build a product for the masses, you have to include those moments of whimsy and those fun touches because they actually promote user understanding of what they're actually doing.
Yeah, human nature is they are always looking for exciting elements.
Yep.
They are looking for fun, looking for entertainment. And when you build a product, you can never forget about that.
And in the case of Solana Pay, I remember seeing a tweet where somebody just put an image up of seeing Solana Pay as checkout at Autonomous.ai, the standing desk company. They added Solana Pay at checkout in Shopify. And it literally just said, pay with Solana Pay, save 12%. That's a good ad,
yes,
right?
Of course.
And that's exactly what we wanted, right? We wanted it to be something that was so simple, because in reality, Web 3 technologies versus Web 2 technologies, they're all just technologies for us to communicate, to pay for stuff, to interact with each other. And there's a lot of stuff Web 2 can't do, thus we are building Web 3 technologies. So I don't think about the fact I'm using HTTPS when I'm visiting a website. I don't think about which server I'm connecting to. I'm talking about all these different competing blockchains. When I sign into Netflix in Asia, I sign into a completely different system than when I'm signing in the US.
Yeah.
And I don't notice because there are systems that make sure that users don't see all that stuff that happens behind the scene.
It's important to understand what the user needs,
right.
But creating the needs and educating them, or maybe just inspiring them to know what they actually need or what they could have, is also an important perspective.
Yeah.
And it's psychology.
It's psychology.